Welcome to a new episode of Two Old Men in Chairs. I'm Corrin Strong.
I'm et.al.
We're going to try something different today. We're going to not react, but we are going to reflect on the music of Tom MacDonald, and in particular his latest song, In God We Trust. How many times have you seen it, Howard?
3 or 4, actually.
Yeah. I've probably seen it more than 50 times. I'm addicted to reaction videos. And I think a lot of the people that do reaction videos are incredibly talented. They're able to listen to the song the first time through and understand it, or at least get a lot out of it. I can't do that. I have to hear it a dozen times or more and listen to other people's reactions before I begin to really understand what the song is about. So I think if we try to do a reaction video, it would be not very satisfying for anybody. So what I'm proposing is more of a reflection video, because I do notice, I learned some things from reactors, but I also notice things that the reactors miss, maybe because they're hearing it for the first time. And so I kind of want to go back through the song and point out some things that other reactors have noted and some things that I think a lot of reactors have missed. So that's the general premise. Howard, are you ready to go?
Shoot.
There we go.
They separate us from our neighbors and they call it social distancing. It's actually a bigger plan. It's called social conditioning. They took away our privacy. There's always someone listening. The elections planning riots for the citizens.
Okay, I'm going to stop it right there, Howard. What did you get out of that first 10 seconds?
Well, I'd say he's right on globalistic authoritarianism, and that they're planning.
They're
planning.
keeping us socially conditioned.
Yeah, and it's a broad plan based on probably modern concepts of psychology to mold us into the behavior.
We have no privacy. They know everything we do. That's part of the whole social control. Mm-hmm. But what I want to point out here is there was a word bleep. Do you know what the word was?
I didn't catch that, no.
Unexpurgated version, he said, they're rigging the election.
Oh, they bleeped that, or did he bleep that?
He bleeped it, probably because he doesn't want to get in trouble with YouTube.
Yes.
But a lot of people, the reactors, don't comment on what he said there. They hear the word election.
I didn't catch that either, and
Yeah. And it's really kind of a sad state of affairs that you're not allowed to talk about the election being stolen for fear that your whole video will be taken down.
Yeah, and
the other part of that line is they're rigging the election, and he kind of implies that they're also behind starting the riots. That the riots are kind of a...
That's almost a no-brainer.
False flag.
Yeah.
Always lied, it's history repeating, but the problem is the schools dumb you down so you believe them. If you try to speak the truth inside a tweet, then they delete it. Whole administration Satanists who claim they praise in Jesus. Every year there's a new name for...
Okay, there's 10 more seconds. What did you hear there, Howard?
A lot there in a little time. It's jam-packed with what we've been talking about for the last two years.
Yeah, the school dumbing everybody down.
Yes, the state using it. All the tools at its disposal to manipulate and mold the population.
Yeah. Now, I want to point out a line there that most people don't seem to hear or don't remark on. But it went by pretty quick. But what he said was that the government worships Satan while claiming they're following Jesus. That's a pretty strong statement. For some reason, people either don't hear it or it doesn't quite strike with them. But to me, I think there's, and I'm not a Bible thumper.
Well, it relates to the title and the chorus, In God We Trust, and we'll probably want to discuss that more later as we get to the song. But yeah, we've already got a religious reference here.
Yeah, and I guess when I was growing up, I never much believed there was such a thing as the devil or Satan. But it's hard to look at what's happened in the last 2 years without thinking that there's a great force of evil afoot in the world.
And whether he's speaking as a believer or in metaphor doesn't really matter. This is powerful information we're getting here.
there's a new name for enemies that we're facing. It's Al-Qaeda, then ISIS, and now American patriots. Who would have thought those who love the country the most would be hated on by folks who call America home? Both political parties are equally just as evil. They've been working for themselves, don't give a damn about the people. Black, white, yellow, brown, humanity needs you. Cause united we stand, divided they will defeat you.
Now before we go into the chorus, another third section there, another jam-packed, ending up with one of his most favorite sayings about we've got to unite or else we're going to all go down together. Anything else in there, Howard, to stick out?
Well, yeah, I mean, citing both parties, he isn't just citing the Democrats, he's citing both parties here, which suggests,
Yeah.
well, there's a historical factor here, but also, they exist on a different plane than the people do.
Well, I think what happens so often is people go into politics and government with good intentions and they get corrupted by the system. And they don't have to be in there that long before they no longer care about the people that got them there, and they're more worried about, hey, this is pretty sweet, can I win re-election? Whose butt do I have to kiss?
And if they weren't wealthy already, suddenly they're wealthy.
And they become wealthy, but they need a lot of money to make sure that no one can run against them. They need to have a dominant amount of money. I was a Republican for many years, but I'm very disappointed with a lot of things the Republican Party has done in the last 5 years. They didn't really support President Trump for the most part, and they didn't back him up when the election got stolen from him. So there may be 20% of the Republican Party that's worth a damn, and I would give you a less percentage of the Democratic Party.
Right. Well, the parties are seeking power, and the old adage is power corrupts, and it's really just another demonstration of that, the truth that power corrupts.
Now, before we go into the chorus, we have the lovely Nova Rockefeller here on the screen, and it sure is good to see Nova out in front of the camera.
With a red, white, and blue bandana.
And the little crosses on her, around her neck, which I don't really know if that's like a Slavic cross, or what do you think that is? I think she's a little bit Slavic. I don't know if it's Polish or what her name is, but I think that's
it's Rockefeller. But...
Well, that's not her real name.
Oh, that is? I didn't really know that.
That's her stage name.
Okay.
But Nova is always behind the camera putting these videos together, and we haven't seen her in quite a while. She did have some nice videos of her own that came out, and also they had an album together where she got a few verses to sing. But for the most part, she's in the background. But
I think here she's portraying the all-American girl next door, which the bandana emphasizes.
Well, I was going to mention that because the next line coming up is, I'm just a small town boy with a big American dream. And nobody has reacted on the fact that both Nova and Tom are from Canada. But they obviously have big American dreams. They live in America and they're making it big in America. But they've so adapted themselves that no one even thinks of them as being Canadian anymore. And I think she does a really nice job singing the harmony on this next part. And I'm going to mention something that probably no other reactor will think of. But to me, just a wee little bit, this chorus reminds me of John Cougar Mellencamp. Remember the song Jack and Diane?
Yeah, maybe there's an unconscious
theft
of melody there. Yeah.
Yeah, two American kids growing up in the heartland.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It might even be conscious. Now that you mentioned it, that melody was going through my head, and I had a sense that I'd heard it somewhere before. I couldn't place it.
Boom, boom, boom. That's the same rhythm.
Yeah.
Growing up in the heartland. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
So let's listen through and see if anyone else hears that.
Says the problem is me. I'm just a small town boy with big American dreams. The world's going crazy and they lying to us. Don't know who to believe, so in God we trust.
Now,
before we move on to
okay, I don't want to move on because I've got a lot to say about this chorus.
That's a beautiful chorus. Go ahead.
Let me just backtrack. I'm sort of a connoisseur of singer-songwriters, and when you told me that Tom was a genius, I sort of took it with a grain of salt until I heard this chorus, specifically the first two lines. I mean, I've listened to Hank Williams, I've listened to Jackson Browne, Gordon Lightfoot, Paul Simon, Leonard Cohen,
Bob Dylan.
Townes Van Zandt, all the great songwriters of the last 60 years or so, 70 years. And this ranks Tom, those two lines to my mind, rank Tom, for me anyways, rank Tom with them or maybe even beyond them, because those two lines, the lines about the small town boy, the American dream, and the man on the news telling him he's the problem.
Yeah.
I identify with that so much. That's my life.
That's a lot of people's
That's
lives.
my life, going through that. My entire life going through that. Not quite fitting in, but still having that American dream, having that common thing with everybody else, but always.
Well, part of the American dream is being an outlaw. It's
so.
part of the whole thing.
But it was so. I mean, so my reaction was almost visceral to that. I thought, wow, and of course you hear it again 3 or 4 more times in the song. I said, wow, that is me. That's it isn't just me now. That's me 60 years ago. That's me 50 years ago. That's me 20 years ago. That is so.
And the second half of the chorus, where he says, they're lying to us. We don't know who to trust except for God. Now that's a very strong statement, and it's surprising, especially like I say, I watch a lot of reactors. A lot of reactors are black, and from what I can tell, that line about "In God We Trust" really hits home with a lot of black folks. There's a lot of religious belief, maybe more so than among white people. They're very strong.
I might be a little more cynical about the second half of the chorus.
That title of the song, "In God We Trust," is probably guaranteed to put some people off. Some people might say, I don't want to listen to a song about religion. I don't want to listen to a song about God.
Yeah.
That's corny.
Well, I mean, there's more interpretations, yeah. And I think if the woke faction had their way, that probably would be removed from the money, although in an ironic way it perfectly fits.
Well, like one of the songs that's generally considered to be one of the greatest songs ever recorded is "God Only Knows" by the Beach Boys. And I watched some interviews where they were talking about it, and they said, can we really, and this is 60 years ago.
Yeah, this is
or
a
50
Smile,
something.
right? I think.
Yeah.
Last Smile was on
Pet Sounds.
Pet Sounds, yeah.
And they were like, can we do this? Can we release a pop song, a top 40 song that mentions God? Even 60 years ago, that was considered a little bit risque.
Yeah.
Of course, it came out beautifully and didn't have a big problem. But I'm wondering because, I watch these videos and I'm noticing on this particular song that a lot of the biggest video reactors that normally jump right on Tom's songs have not reacted to this song yet. Like, I can think of 5.
And he obviously means to emphasize it because he titled the song. And
he titled the song, and I think people are like, I'm not sure if we're ready for a song about God.
I mean,
but the point is, we have gotten to that stage where we don't know who to trust. There's no earthly, and later on in the song he talks about we don't trust the government, we don't trust the media, we don't trust Big Pharma. There's nobody that we trust anymore.
And see, my one interpretation is, and maybe we can't trust God either because he's on the money. What is he doing there?
Well, I think that might be a minority interpretation, but let's move on, and we're coming up.
But I mean, I did have trouble with that line. I mean, it wasn't blatantly obvious to me what he meant.
It was very, very clear to me. So anyway, let's move on to Mr. Calhoun with his verse. Ready?
Y'all missing what was written in them pages. That was history they wrote, now you wanna change it. You racist, you hate this. Why you want us all to be locked up in cages? I can't stand the left, everything they say's depressing. Ship them to the Middle East, they can learn oppression. Believe me, I mean this quite literal. I love liberty, but I liberals.
Okay, I want to stop it there, because another word was bleeped out of the song. Do you know what it was?
Well, hate, yeah.
No, there's another word.
Oh, another word in there? Where is it?
White.
I didn't catch that either.
Because it's bleeped out.
Oh, but I mean, I didn't catch the space even where it was.
No, it's there. You listen to the other versions, and I love liberty, but I hate white liberals.
I didn't catch that.
No, it's definitely there. And which, again, why do you have to bleep that out? Why do you have to cover your mouth so you can't be liberal?
Well, you can't say hate because that's hate speech. So it's obviously a conceding to the fact that we don't want the video deleted. So, but it's so perfect, you know.
It's self-censorship.
Yes.
But it's also specifically white liberals.
And I did catch that, so that's probably
And
puts a lot more meaning into the.
it has more
what we
meaning
said.
because when we look at like the BLM riots and Antifa, a lot of the leadership of that is coming out from these white liberals. You know, they're much more radical, and I feel like, especially based on a lot of people that do reaction videos, there's a strong conservative streak, you know, in the black community, and I think to us, in a sense, you can say, well, the black people maybe get a little bit of a pass on being liberal, you know, because their life experience has been, you know, that they've been discriminated against and they've had a tough time. And so the natural tendency for some of them is just kind of fall into that liberal plantation, where there's no excuse for the white people because they've had every advantage.
Well, you're kind of assuming that liberal is a bad thing, but
They commandeered the word liberal, and it doesn't really mean the classical liberal anymore. Like, I'm a classical liberal. Like, I believe in free speech, you know,
yeah.
and civil rights, you know, and those are classic liberal beliefs. But now, liberal has been commandeered by the progressive left, and so what you have is really radical socialist communist ideas hiding under that name
Right,
of liberal.
and
About
this,
just liberal.
in this context, though, he's obviously meaning the current liberal.
Yeah, and the white liberal, and then it follows up with the next line when he talks about, you know, the Range Rover. I think he's focusing on those white liberals that kind of, you know, are the most extreme in a lot of cases, and he's most likely to cancel you, and be politically correct. Anyway,
Yeah, they're deranged. They're the deranged white liberals, and they are deranged. There's no doubt in my mind. They're deranged.
yeah, those are the ones he's talking about. Let's continue with the song here.
Stay home, complain and moan, talk about privilege on your phone in your Range Rover, Starbucks, mango, foo-foo, whatever. The cloth I'm cut from can handle any weather. You just paper in the rain, we ain't the same. Stand for the flag, only kneel when I pray.
Now this is a line, stand for the flag, only kneel when I pray. That's the real tipping point for some of the black reactors. If they're on the liberal side, they object to that line because they feel that the black people and the black athletes who kneel for the flag are justified. Although there are many other black conservatives who don't see it that way.
The one reaction video I did watch is when he heard this, he came right out and said, "Yes, I respect the flag." So he was.
Yeah,
what was his name?
I'd say it's about.
Yeah.
It may even be less than 50-50 get a problem with that, but there are a few who try to justify. So again, that kind of sets up a racial between the two lines, you know, hating white liberals and then hitting that trigger point for the black liberals. he's not taking any prisoners here. It's getting tremendous views. I mean, it's up to almost 4 million in less than a week.
Is it typical for him, or even more than typical?
It's better than most. It's better than most. I mean, he eventually gets to 4 million with most, but not quite this fast. Let's get back into it here.
Just pray we go back to the old days, land of the free, home of the brave. The man on the news says the problem is me. I'm just a small town boy with big American dreams. The world's going crazy and they lying to us. Don't know who to believe, so in God we trust. Yeah.
As we hear struggle warming up in the background, growling there.
But it's still the chorus is so powerful. Every time I hear it, I'm like flashing back on some facet of my life, because I was in a small town kid.
People really do seem to like the chorus.
And the radio, the broadcaster that they're speaking of, he isn't literally the broadcaster. For me, he represents mainstream opinion.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah,
That's
you're the
mainstream
problem,
opinion.
I saw it last night on TV. If I watched it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a nice little touch there that in that particular chorus you see Nova and Tom together, and Nova's got her arms embracing Tom. You know, which is a nice, a nice feeling.
You know, they've been together for a while too. You know.
think they've been together only about 5 years, but
That's a while today.
it's a long while today. Now, coming up is Struggle Jennings, and
Give me a little history of him. 'Cause I'm
yeah,
unfamiliar.
well, this is really interesting because um, and I have a mental block about the lady, Waylon Jennings' girlfriend. She is the actual grandmother of Struggle Jennings.
Uh-huh.
He was married first before she went with Waylon.
Oh, so
and
this
had
is
a
a child
daughter.
from that earlier relationship.
Had a daughter, and then the daughter had Struggle. So that
The Struggle uses the Jennings name.
so he adopted that as
Yeah.
his stage name. And he, he was in the household growing up with Waylon, and he said Waylon treated him, just like like he was his real grandson. So he really got a lot from hanging around Jennings. And as you know, Waylon Jennings is like a god to me. I mean, I think he's one of the greatest singers around. Unfortunately passed. But anyway, so that's his background, and I really wasn't familiar with any of his music. I mean, I've known he's been around, but I really haven't listened to much. And so he totally shocked me with his voice coming up here. It's like a growl, and then the words are just like he steals the song right here.
I see through all the illusions, refuse to hear rumors or accept that we're losing. Easy to get caught up, consumed by the consumer. Truth is so diluted, people starve off the confusion. Comfort is the killer, your dreams execution. Cool persecution if I make a contribution. Home of the brave look like a mental institution, and there will be revolution if we can't find resolution.
Now that line right there
Yeah.
is, and he's such a tough-looking hombre, with a cowboy hat and the beard, and you can just tell he's a big, imposing guy. I've seen some reactors who just say that he frightens them, just his appearance.
Yeah. Well, that attitude is here. I went over to a fellow's house a couple of weeks ago just to play guitar for a couple hours, and obviously we got on the discussion. He just got so upset. He just said, we want to talk about it anymore. The only way to fix this is a revolution. And we didn't talk about it anymore. And this is this fellow's opinion. And probably there's a lot more people that feel
there's
that
such
way
a
than we think.
disconnect between the bullshit that we're being fed on every subject, and so many people have seen through it, and they know that we're being lied to. That it does make you angry. The land of the free looks like a mental institution. Well, it does look like a mental institution when you look at all the crazy stuff that's going on in the world. All right, let's finish it up, Howard.
Tired.
It's a promise, stand up, pay homage. They tell lies, I'm being honest, just the time is upon us. I know that God got us, so I'm fighting in his honor. Hear the cries of the crusaders as we're strapping up our armor. Either set a higher ground or drown in a drama. If I die for what I love, then my death will be nirvana. We fighting for our freedom, don't believe what they've been feeding. Be the change you want to see, the warrior that we're needing.
Now, a couple of great lines in there. The one that confused a lot of people, he said, if I die fighting for what I love or believe in, my death will be nirvana. Now that's a very, very heavy concept there. And a lot of people don't even know, other than the rock and roll group that was called Nirvana, they don't even know what that word means.
Well, it's a state of bliss, of course. In Eastern religions.
According to the Buddhist religion, Nirvana is when you finally get through this cycle of misery in life and you don't have to be reborn again.
Yeah, but people seek it.
They seek total relief from the pain of the world. So that one there confuses a lot of people, and it's a very deep subject if anyone wants to get into the real meaning of Nirvana.
Yeah.
But then the last line there is be the change you want to see and be the leader that we need. I mean, and if that doesn't hit home, because so many people are not willing to be the change that they want to see. They'll sit at their computer and they will, click like or maybe even write a comment or post something, but they're not going to get out and go down the street and protest or, do anything to bring around real change. We need people that will get out from sitting in their easy chair.
It's
like
a scary
we're
thing. It's a scary thing. Particularly you're an old guy like us and you're not as physically adept as you used to be. Do you still want to go?
We all do what we can, to try to help in the effort. But I wish more people would do more. Okay, so we just have a couple more choruses.
And I never tire to listen to this chorus. This is possibly the greatest two lines ever written. And
all right, here we go. Another ditty about Jack and Diane.
Who says the problem is me? I'm just a small town boy with big American dreams. The world's going crazy and they lying to us. Don't know who to believe, so in God we trust. We don't trust the news, the government, or pharma. We just want freedom, that you have that to offer. We don't want the lies, the politics, or the drama. We just want the life that was promised by our fathers. We don't trust the news, the government, or pharma. We just want freedom, that you have that to offer.
he's got almost caricaturely American hair. So old-fashioned, wave the flag American that America of our fathers, the America where every man after Pearl Harbor volunteered to fight and went to war. He's talking about bringing that back.
Yeah,
that
we
America.
haven't discussed that line about we just want the world promised by our fathers. That does resonate a lot with me because I can trace my fathers and my grandfathers and my forefathers back, 12 generations back, starting this country and being involved in writing the Constitution and fighting in the Revolutionary Wars and the Civil War. So I feel there's a lot, that's been promised to us over the years, and a lot of sacrifices have been made, to give us the freedoms. So
it's an old-fashioned idea, but it still rings so soundly.
Yeah, let's finish it up here.
We don't want the lies, the politics, or the drama. We just want the life that was promised by our fathers. The man on the news says the problem is me. I'm just a small town boy with big American dreams.
I love the part.
The world's going crazy and they lying to us. Don't know who to believe, so in God we trust.
Great job with Nova, and I actually do have the album. I've been listening to it.
Did you buy the physical album or the?
I have the CD, yeah.
And where'd you buy it? Where'd you get it?
The only one place you could buy it was Hangover Gang, and they're all sold out. He had 25,000 of them.
Oh, that's all?
Yeah. It's funny because some of the physical albums are showing up on eBay for like hundreds of dollars.
Already?
Yeah, especially the signed ones. Of course, you could take, don't tell Tom I said this, but you can take your CD and load it into your computer and then put it all on your phone, or once you have it, you move it around wherever you want.
Burn a copy.
And you don't really need the CD, but I keep the CD in my truck so that every time I'm driving, I'm listening to it. Yeah, it's a basic rock and roll or country anthem. Yeah, I think 10 out of 10 as far as I'm concerned. I wish a song like this, could, if we still had AM radio with your top 40, a song like this could
I'm still puzzled. I'm thinking of all the other songs I've ever heard all my life. I mean, a vast number of songs that, the ones that you identify with, which you're not supposed to identify with a protest song. It's more like information. It's more like news. It's topical. But here's a song that you do identify on a personal, subjective level with too. There's your whole history in that chorus.
Well, it's at least the history of the last 2 years.
Oh, and for me, it's my life's history. That's what I think made it so true.
We both agree this is a great song, a great video.
Absolutely.
And we'll let the audience decide whether they like the reflection format over the reaction, but it's the best we can do, folks.